Okay, Nathaniel, go turn the light back on.
In so many ways.
All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Tacoma Comics here, and we are live discussing. No, that's horrible. Close that. Yeah, turn the light on, close the curtains. We are professional, and we are live with my usual crew. John's Comics with Kids. We can call him Jom. I want to start over. We can call him John, and Natalie, the Comic Queen, and Adam from Bear Island Comics, the usual three. So professional. And my son there, so professional. I can see John's in the chat. Perry's here. Rod the Rican is here. And just want to preface this, and I will end with this as well. I've got three incredibly insightful and intelligent and interesting guests. I would love to have more to do these. I said it before, and I've got no shame in saying it. I would love to balance the genders. I would love to balance the races. The white guys with beards discussing comic books is great, but we need to get a little bit more diversity in there. So thank you, Natalie, for joining us. And, if we could get a Rican, even if they live in Florida, Rod, or more people. I did invite that comic girl from Instagram, but she gets home at 9:30, so she's going to try to jump on.
Well, soon enough, we're going to have Perry Comics all caught up on Die because he bought the first trade, and we're doing an A-OK book club where we gifted the trade to Biggie Shack as well. So we're going to catch him up and catch them all up on Die. So they're going to be ready to go. So you can get a Perry Comics in here.
At least one of those don't have a beard, so I think we're good. Right? Okay, let's get started. So Die 6 came out. People have been waiting for it. It sold out at the distributor level, which means that if you didn't have on your pull list, you didn't get to your shop soon, you are out of luck. So I had it, and I think we all probably had it on our pull lists. This is the A cover by Stephanie Hans, and we'll go over the art in detail. So I'm going to give you a little overview. This is the B cover by Peach Momoko, whom I believe I have on an alternate cover to Sex Criminals. That's the only other work that I've seen her on. And then I was lucky enough to order, and I think this is at close to cover price, from Rad Raptor Comics. Shout out Rad Raptor. There is a virgin variant to number 6, and they came with a little certificate of authenticity, which I thought was pretty darn cool.
You got to hit us up when you're doing that. Make sure we all know.
I tried. I took it and I put it on put it on Instagram and said, "Hey guys, get this." So if anybody's missing it, there's a second printing already on the way. So make sure you go and order your second printing. Just a little story about, I guess, comic book shops and how big this is. I was in Spokane, the other side of the state. Yesterday, I was there for a 5-day conference. I was leaving yesterday. I went to a comic book shop, and I got there a little bit after it opened. I said, "Hey, do you have Die?" I didn't see it on the wall, and the guy's like, "Oh, we had about 2 copies. We sold them out." He goes, "I might have a one in this pile of variants I'm going through." I'm like, "Well, there were no variants. There's just the B cover. So can you see if you have it?" He's like, "Well, I've got to price it." I'm like, "It's not a ratio variant." He goes, "Well, with the variants, I usually look at eBay." I'm like, not even 40 minutes after the store opened, he's trying to upsell it. And I was just like, forget it. I know I got 2 copies waiting at home. I am going to just leave now before I get more upset. So super popular comic. JP's Budget Collecting is here. Shout out to him. And we're going to go to John, who's going to just give us a little. You said you're going to do the recap, right?
Yeah, man, I got us here. This is for the non-diehards, which I think needs to become the name of people who are fans of Die. Oops. Right?
I see what you're saying.
We're the diehards. So they give you at the beginning of issue 6, we were joking beforehand that there are just 5 sentences of a recap. This is not Marvel. They're not going to give you a full page of recap information. No. This says, in 1991, 6 teenagers disappeared into a fantasy role-playing game. Only 5 returned. In 2018, they were all dragged back in. They can't go home until all 6 agree. They don't. And the party split up. That was kind of the storyline. If you want to go a little deeper, we have characters based on the ideas that they wanted to portray in the game, each with their own die, a slightly different, right? A 6-sided die or a 20-sided die. And they went into this game thinking it was all fun and games, of course, but then the game master, Saul, started sort of spinning a yarn that got way out of control, and they were stuck in this game and couldn't get out. And eventually, they made it out, but had to sacrifice their friend Saul, leave him behind. And they came back very battered, and then they had a spell put on them where they were not allowed to talk about what happened, and they had to keep it a secret until eventually they were pulled back into this game, only to find that Saul had now taken over and wanted the game to keep going and wanted them all to keep playing in a sort of devious villain sort of way. And they were forced to start facing all the things that they had been denying and hiding up to now. And little by little, it's been eating away at them until they decided they were going to stop playing the game. They decided to destroy the main city that Saul had created and hope that that would bring him to them and they could figure out a solution. In the end, it became even worse. They did defeat Saul, but he becomes what's called a fallen. And we'll talk maybe a little bit about those characters. But that act sort of split our main characters into groups. One group feeling like, you know what, I would rather live here. There's something meaningful for me here. And they fled. And the remaining group members were sort of left with their jaws on the floor.
That is an excellent recap. I don't think I could have said it better myself if I had tried. So yeah, that in a nutshell is where we are. And I think that's a good summary of the story. In terms of the importance of the story, or the pull of the story, what's gotten us all into this is just an incredibly well-written and beautifully drawn thing that is turning your usual fantasy tropes on their head, but doing it in such a way that is it doesn't feel trite. It feels really meaningful. Natalie, what were your first impressions of issue number 6?
Over the whole issue?
Yeah, just issue 6 or any particular part.
No, I liked it. I liked this issue focuses more on Angela. So throughout the issue, we see a little more about her. And I like that. I like kind of going more in depth with each character. And hopefully they do that with the other issues. But I like that. It was, we learned more about her. And I guess, how her job at home kind of, has to do with how she makes her choices and decisions in the game. So that was interesting to see. I don't know. I really like that. Like, I really hope each issue from now on kind of focuses on more characters. And then the ending too. That was
that was killer. And you know what? And we should have seen it coming, right? There's nothing about it that like
I don't know. I didn't at all.
I didn't either. But I'm thinking just in general, it just makes sense that we would have seen that because they said they had their lives there. They were there for so many years. And we know that the world continued in the time that they weren't there. So as much as it was a total shock and surprise to me, it seems like we should have thought that those things could have happened. Adam, what is your take here?
I loved it. Obviously, I come for the Stephanie Hans art, and I stay for the awesome story. I know you can relate to that. I thought something that jumped out at me was I'm a dog owner, and I know you're a dog owner as well. John and Ed, I don't know if you two have dogs, but for dog owners, this issue was difficult in spots. It was kind of gut wrenching when she makes a very difficult decision, which she resists at first, and you kind of know what's coming. You kind of know when she resists it. You know she's gonna have to make that choice again at the end or near the end. Another thing that jumped out for me was they sort of shifted towards video games. They talked a lot about video games and something called the crunch, which I just learned about last year when I bought Red Dead Redemption and read some articles about how hard Rockstar worked a lot of their employees to get to the end. And I thought that was really, really cool to read about that reference by Angela and also in the back matter from Kieron Gillen, who used to work in that industry. So A lot of character development in this issue. Hit me right in the feels. Loved it.
All right. Yeah, I think that the video game is a good jumping on point because, she talks about her life. I don't know. Maybe we should get into a summary of the book because what I'm about to say doesn't explain it very well. So this caught me in the previews. These two guys in the background. This one, is anybody sure what's going on here? To me, I thought they were powering up the Prussian dragon is the only thing I could think of, or either fixing the armor. And then this guy
oiling him or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and then this guy over here with the gun. So as John said, they destroyed Glasstown, but that brought in the occupying force of the East Anglia, who came in, and basically they've been wanting to conquer this town forever, and they didn't get the chance until our gang blew it up for them. So it's blown up, and now they are kind of captured, in the town that they blew up. So their whole plan really screwed Saul over, but it also got them hoisted by their own petard, if you will. So they are now stuck here, and Angela is the one who can get them out. And I'm not sure that I understood that, right? They're saying Angela is the only one that can help them escape because she's got her cybernetic powers that can, type it, get into and cloak them. To me, it seems like they all have power that could get them out, but maybe there's so many occupying army, they just had to do it stealthily. So Angela's power comes from getting gold, right? So very classic Dungeons and Dragons-y thing. And to get the gold, she has to go see her gods who, and this is the first time we've seen them distinctly, the fair. They are. Yeah. My kids are still here, so I can't say what I think of the fair. They are really cool. The fair are these binary gods. I mean, binary in that everything in this world is run by, and I'm going to click on you, John, because you got to quicker than I did. Everything in this world is run kind of on this like binary system, which is really cool. Taking this total techno-punk like ethic, right, or aesthetic, and bringing it into a fantasy world. But the fair, the decisions they make is 100%. Ooh, I heard myself there. Sorry. The decisions they make is 100% binary. Like they go, either a thing happened or it didn't happen. We can't tell you what's going to happen. You just have to do something and we'll see. And you can get totally screwed over by them because of it. And, just what John held up there, that artwork is different. And this is something Stephanie Hans has done so beautifully. Every time there's a different time period or a new group, she has just a different atmosphere that she creates with her artwork. And it is just amazing to look at. And
she uses light in a really, I was noticing all through this, the way she uses light, like just in little moments, little spots that really create impact and draw your eye. And the light can come in all different colors. Obviously, we have very hot and very cold colors at different points. And again, those characters, the fair, have that elements to them, hot and cold, almost simultaneously.
Yeah. So okay, she gets the gold, but she has to do something really, really horrible to get the gold. And I think this is at the crux of what makes this a great comic, is that you not only are drawn into the characters and the people and the beauty of who and what they are, but then you feel the gut-wrenching pain that they're going through. Would anybody like to address what happens next?
Adam basically hinted at it.
Go ahead, Adam. How does she?
I'm not 100% clear as to why she had to do this. I think it was explained earlier, and I haven't had a chance to read it a second time. But she has to give up her dog, and the dog's name is what? Starts with
Case.
C, right?
Case.
And in order to get the gold or power up as much as she needs to, and it's pretty heartbreaking because she's talking to the dog for several pages before that and explaining her life and everything, and sort of using the dog as an excuse for a little bit of exposition, which I didn't mind. But yeah, she has to let go of it, and I just went in the other room and I put the comic down. I had to go hug my dog real quick, and then come back and finish.
Yeah, we had some heartbreak with dogs in this family recently. I'll explain. Natalie, there's this deal between she could give up her artificial arm because in the real world, in our world, she doesn't have an arm, but in the world of Dai, she has this like cybernetic arm. And it seems to me like she has to choose between her arm or the dog. And the way she talks about it, I thought she was going to choose the arm. Did you have any insight as to like why she chose the dog? I mean, there's one sentence that explains it. Go on, because I was a little confused.
Well, hold on. Back to the dog. I was a little confused because she can bring him back whenever she wants to, can't she?
If she gets it,
why couldn't she just like what's her name said, get rid of him for like one day, Ash, and then later on just bring him back? Like, I just don't understand why it was so hard for her to let him go when it was someone that she could see again. That's what I do.
Yeah, I'm a little confused, and I don't know if we're supposed to be confused intentionally or if we just have to do some deeper reading. I guess that's what these dissections are for. But it's good that we're all confused at the same part. It's not just me, right? There's other people. So there is a line. She says, "Take Case back. That's why I came. I want you to take Case back so he's safe, please." So I don't know if she's just giving him up temporarily for the duration or while they travel to wherever they're traveling to. Is it East Anglia or is it Prussia? I can't remember.
She meant like take him back.
Oh, really?
So, so they're like no more pain. He won't feel any more pain like ever again. Kind of like just take them back.
She did talk about it with Ash in one panel where Ash says, "I'm sorry, it's the only way. When we're out of Glasstown, you can bring him back." She says, "No, I won't. We're leaving, so one way or another, he'll die. I'd be bringing him back just to have him die again. I can't deal with that." Which I didn't totally understand her reasoning there.
When at the end of the day, the gold turns to dust or something like that, and she loses all her weapons. So then she has to start over.
Oh, and so she couldn't get in.
Her dog is like a weapon, so he'll die every day.
And
okay. She was trying to tell what are they called?
The fair.
The fair, kind of like, I don't want him to go through that pain again. Just take him back.
Oh, okay. This is why we do a dissection, so that people smarter than me can help me understand what I was confused by. So you're right. They couldn't get enough gold because she was kind of doing Kieron Gillen in the back matter says it's like a thief's journey in this story. She's trying to sneak around and get enough gold, and she can never get enough gold to cast not the spells, the cybernetic, hacking of the world to escape with her dog and her friends. And so I think now that it's making it more clear, she kind of knew all along what she'd have to do, right? And I think she's almost denying it herself. And then she gets that exposition. And this was almost the only thing. Hey, David is here, Thinking New Mint Comics. Hello, my friend. Almost, I thought too much exposition. And right when I was like, it's too much, something amazingly powerful happened. I was like, this is just the perfect amount of exposition. So, I thought it was really, really well written. And this is the first time there's really been this much. John, what did you think of like the switch to an individual tale? I know Nat said she liked it. What was your thoughts?
It was easily the slowest issue I think they've had.
Mm-hmm.
Even the one when they arrived at the town and it was all just living in the town, I think it's still my favorite issue. When they arrive and get into Glasstown, because it's there's still so much happening. Each character going and experiencing the town in a different way. This one was far more streamlined and yet also really slow. I mean, it was basically, aside from a few little moments, it was basically an entire issue centered around a character dealing with having to let go of something that they care a lot about. Mm-hmm. And the impact of that is huge. And emotionally, this is a deep issue of the book, but as far as like just the speed of the read and the speed of the story, everything slowed way down, and it wasn't exposition filled like several of you've mentioned. Sometimes when a story takes a break on Image or when a new story begins in a Marvel or DC book, there's a huge exposition dump, and it's just slow for the sake of catching the reader up. But this was slow for the sake of dropping like emotional impact, and I really appreciated that in a big way. I also, nobody's really mentioned the Ash thing. What I liked about Ash as the bookends here was that at the beginning, it's almost like she's psychic, right? At the beginning, she's like, she knows how this is going to play out. There's only one option. And so she straight up is saying to the girl has to give up her dog. I'm sorry. Angela, like, this is the choice you have to make. And then Angela gets upset and runs off and then ends up coming back having made the decision that Ash clearly knew what had to be made.
Well, Ash is the dictator.
Right? But she doesn't do it in a way that she's using her power. She's just clearly saying, this is our only option. You need to get us there. Like, there's no other choice. And I liked her as the bookends. And then, of course, we get to see at the end of that, the screws getting turned on her.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So, while Ash acts like she knows everything and is kind of prescient, she clearly did not expect everything. So I should mention something here. Nathaniel, you want to come around here for a second? So let's just have a little introduction of Young Tacoma Comics here. Nathaniel, what is the #1 rule in Dungeons and Dragons? What don't you do?
Oh.
Don't split the party.
First, wait, that shirt is amazing. Is that a Hamilton Harry Potter mashup shirt? Dude, this is amazing. Is that Star Wars mashup with
Darth Vader with his lightsaber says, "I will kill your friends and family to remind you of my love."
Come on, man. This is amazing. Hamilton and Star Wars matchup?
That's too cool.
So yeah, it's a great shirt.
Your mic might have changed. I don't know if your mic's if you unplugged your mic or something.
Yeah, I did. Am I too loud or too quiet?
Too quiet.
Oh, I don't know how to check mic volumes while I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. It's just really quiet. Oh, what is this?
He made this for my wife on Mother's Day. That's our dog.
That is cool.
So huge Hamilton fans in this house.
Hey, who isn't? Only people who aren't Hamilton fans are the people who haven't experienced it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad that we've got the private chat here because I'm getting a lot of really good things. I wanted to make sure that I hit stuff, but there's a huge question, an unanswered question in my mind about, and this one is not like I didn't understand it, it's just leaving it open, about Soul. And I think we left off our recap of the trade paperback 3 or 4 months ago saying that we all knew Soul knows more about this world than he's let on, and that he probably is the intentional creator of this world. He's not just a guy who was thrown into it by the game master. We think that that's some sort of ruse and there's something going on. So Soul has been destroyed and is now a fallen. And I think that's why I was going to ask about the art, because my favorite art is showing him as a fallen. But Ash is going to ask him a question, and he's like, "Ask me anything." And she goes, "How did you make the world of Die?" Or "Why did you make the world of Die?" And he's like, "Oh, anything but that question."
Yeah.
You made Die. How? And she's like, "Well, what other question is there?" The sheer impossibility of the magic of it all, that a 16-year-old knew everything that the maker Die clearly had to know. And he goes, "Any question except that one." So, Adam, you had some thoughts and comments about that beginning, and Natalie, will go to you next after that.
I love that panel, like right after Soul says any question except that one. Like Ash's reaction, like that's my favorite panel.
Well,
I could just see her doing that, like her being like, you know what, like I'm not even gonna try to talk to you.
Right, and
Yeah.
that's why I was going to ask about art, because that's my favorite art in the book. So I was actually leading to that same concept. But Adam, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you were thinking about that there?
I just wanted to sort of piggyback on what John was saying about how the issue is slow, but it doesn't, like, you never feel like, at least I didn't feel like it was inconsequential. There are big decisions that are being made throughout this book. And the first big one they make is that they're going to bring Saul with them. Like, even though he's the Fallen and he's a threat to them, that's just who they are, and they think they might need him. And it's just more, it's more solid character development for me. And the making of choices just never feels inconsequential to me in this book. So I just wanted to make sure we touched on it. That's why I just threw it in the private chat.
Yeah, no, there's nothing left to chance, right? Even if we don't understand why, there definitely is a reasoning. And this idea that so I think we established you can't kill the Fallen, right?
I think so. Yeah.
That's why it's always around. They don't want to leave him. But
Is the camera stuck on me? I think it's
Yeah,
stuck on me.
sorry. Well, no, because you look so great. It's intentional.
Oh, okay.
So Saul is
I
good
mean,
now.
even the Fallen could return back, like go back home.
Right. Do you mean
Yeah.
come back to life or go back to the real world?
Go back to the real world.
Okay, so I guess the question is, why do they have Saul with them? Like what is to be gained by that? Why risk taking an extra character?
I don't think they want to leave him behind again and have him have to be stuck there again. I think they're very much guilt-ridden about leaving him the first time, and I think that I got the feeling that the Fallen could die and that it could be permanent for them. That was kind of the implication of the end of issue 5, was that there was this permanence to the Fallen. That it's very possible that, because isn't that the very first issue? The beautiful queen comes down and flirts with one of the characters, and then he's like, "This is baloney," and he kills that guy or kills her, and then she comes back as the Fallen, and then they have to kill her again.
Yes, I think you are correct. I'm actually now trying to go back and remember it all.
Totally forgot about that.
Yes, so they're not killing him because I know why they're not killing him. You guys know why they're not killing him. Isn't he one that the Gaius was put on that they all have to agree for them to get back home? He was originally part of their group, right?
Well, they implied that by killing him and making him Fallen, that was their original plan. They were going to kill him and then just take his die and then be able to go home without him, like just make the wish without him.
Oh.
But now I think they're feeling guilty about leaving him, knowing that he's fallen and yet still alive. Like, I think guilt is a big part of it.
Maybe they just want him for like information or something.
Yeah, I will say I'm not sure. You all have good ideas and reasons. So what do we think about Angela's backstory? Clearly, the crunch of the video game and the fact that like she was a programmer and she is upset that she didn't get to finish, working on programs long enough to get credits and credits for video games when they came out. That clearly has a lot of parallels. Her personal life, though, is also highlighted here, and I want to know from you guys what you think. Basically, she had a brief affair with another woman. It ended her marriage, but she's pretty sure her husband was cheating on her, and it's not because she had an affair with a woman, just because her husband and her were having issues. But her kids now all picked at her because clearly she looks like the bad guy. So how do you guys think that plays into the world of Die and what effect that has?
I just think it rounded her out as a character, kind of, because like everyone else, I don't know if they've gotten to everyone yet, but they've been, in the first 5 issues, they definitely, took time to give the backstories of the other characters. And I think a lot of this was Kieron Gillen just writing what he knows. Like, I'm going to have a character who worked in the same industry that I used to work in, and I'm going to share some of my knowledge and maybe raise a little bit of awareness of what goes on in that industry. So I just thought it was straight up character development. It just gave me a better sense of who she is. And she's bi, but that, who cares?
All right. Anybody else? Thoughts?
All I got from it was that, like what she said, she's tired. Like she was just like, I'm dead tired anyways. And that just shows, like I said, from her personal life, like in the real world, she was a computer programmer or not gamer or programming or whatever she worked in. And I mean, that's like when she talked about the crunch, it's very time consuming. I'm sure she had, you know, it affected maybe her at home family life. And that's how she spent more time with her. It was a coworker, right? And I don't know, she must have just been really tired. And then when she got sucked into like this dye world, I think she just kind of like, now I have to deal with this. Like, I'm just tired. Like, just like, I'm so done with this. That's what I got from it.
I think a lot of people feel tired in 2019, and he's just giving us something to relate to, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that if you contrast that, right, she seems to be the most weary. Matt is getting along as he can. Ash thinks she knows everything, but clearly doesn't. But then the split the party here is at the end of issue 5. Chuck and Isabel clearly decided that they weren't ready to go home, and they've gone out on their own. We're going to find out where they've been and what's going on with them in the next issue. And I think you can clearly contrast their attitudes. Like, they don't look weary. Chuck, the fool, kind of seems like he thinks it's all a big joke still, and Isabel clearly has feels like she has more to get out of this world of dye before she goes home. John, you look like you're going to sneeze or say something.
Now you cut to me because I'm about to sneeze. Thanks a lot.
I couldn't tell if you're going to speak or sneeze.
Sneeze out some knowledge, John.
I had muted my mic just for it. I was actually going to ask the question because somebody had said earlier that she chose the dog over her arm. I thought she chose her arm. They flipped the die, they flipped the coin, and they said, you can't pick your arm. You has to be the dog. That's how I understood that moment, but maybe I read it too quickly. It seemed like they told her she had a choice, and she's like, okay, I'll pick the arm. They flipped the coin, and they said, nope, sorry, not an option. You can't pick the arm.
She said basically that I can live without. I mean, no, she didn't say that. What did she say?
She said it's the other way around
she
now.
wanted Case to be like safe.
Yeah, because having this arm freaked me out. The me who had an arm is 30 years ago. Whoever I am now in the real world doesn't have an arm. Take Case back. That's why I came to you, please. They said chance 1 or 0, 1 flip, 0 your choice is not among the things that happen. Okay, so they won't take the dog back.
Yeah.
She has to get rid of it herself. Gotcha. Okay, so maybe I misunderstood that.
No, you know what? You just cleared it up for me. Now I got it, right? So she chooses the dog over the arm, even though it sounds like she wants to get rid of the arm. She then decides for the dog, but the flip go her way. Okay, so
it seemed like she was making a conscious decision between the two, but I realize now, reading it again, yeah, you're totally right, Natalie. That she's deciding that I don't want to be to have 2 arms again. That would not be the person I am now. The dog, and she's pleading with them to take the dog back and preserve it, as opposed to her eliminating it, because I believe what's implied is that if she does it herself, if Angela gets rid of the dog and brings the dog back later, it seems like it wouldn't be the same one. It would be different in some fashion.
I'm not sure. You could be right. I think
because she's otherwise, like was mentioned earlier, she would clearly be less upset about it. Like, oh, I'll just bring it back later. Like, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
it's like Mario bringing Yoshi out and then putting Yoshi away and whatever.
Yeah, she does say that she wants to go change the bargain she has with the fair, right, before she leaves. So it seems like the usual deal is that if she can't get enough gold for the fair, that Chase will go away until she can get her weapons back. Because she didn't have Chase for at least the first issue or 2, right? Like,
yeah,
it wasn't until somewhere in the second issue, I think. So it seems like she was trying to get a new deal, and that's what the flip of the coin was for. And you know, there's some very cryptic lines in here. She's like, "How can it be an interesting choice if nothing happens?" And they're like, "That's the most interesting choices are the things that don't happen," which
precisely
is confusing.
I thought that was like the greatest quote of the whole book.
Yeah, it's a really interesting line because on its face, I don't know. I'm going to go back to anybody ever see the movie Mystery Men? Okay,
I
so
haven't.
this is Mystery Men is Ben Stiller, Jean Garofalo, Hank Azaria, and there's this character that's training the superheroes called the Sphinx, and all the Sphinx does is turn your words around on you. And at some point, Ben Stiller, whose character gets angry, comic book campaign knows what I'm talking about. He just turns around and he's like, "You're not saying anything interesting, important. You're just turning words around and flipping them so they sound mysterious." And he's like, and he got caught out. So that line there that the fair say on its face could just be like, well, the interesting choices are the ones that don't happen. But in our world of die, we know that that's actually very powerful. Like I give Kieron Gillen and Stephanie Hans the leeway to allow that to be not just a silly flip of words, but an actually powerful statement as to something that's going to happen in the in the future. Anything else that stood out to you guys in terms of story or writing before we get to art?
I mean, the art, I consistently was blown away by the art. Like even not even page to page, which reading Absolute Carnage this week, page to page, Ryan Stegman does some amazing stuff, and there are some splash pages there that you just stop and you're like, I'm going to just absorb this for a while because Ryan Stegman's amazing. But it's almost like I do the same thing with this panel to panel, like even just between like two. I was just skimming back through to like look over like, oh, how is that panel? How's this page? And it's like, so at the end here with the dragon, and then like even this tiny little panel, right? We've got a character slamming the sword into the creature, like is like this with all these light sort of soft, cold colored pages. You have all of a sudden this bright red splash panel, not a page, but the splash panel in the middle there. She does this all the way through where you're reading along. You think, oh my God, that panel's amazing. No, this panel's amazing. No, the next one's amazing. Like it is a consistent, like high bar that she's got for herself going here.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam, what's your favorite pages there?
I love. Well, they don't have page numbers, but right here, top left, she's sort of sitting with the dog on. Let's see, is that in focus at all?
No, it's good.
She's sitting with the dog. There's a starlit sky in the background, and I'm not sure whether this dead thing is what she's sitting on or what they're sitting on, or it's in the foreground, but I don't care because either way, it's awesome. It could be some huge mech type thing, which I think it might be because it's like tends to the dragon probably. And it's full of arrows.
Yeah,
there's just all sorts of cool stuff going on in this.
Those are fingers in front of her feet, right? So that definitely, and that's the head that's kind of in the foreground. So it's definitely one of those big monsters.
Yeah, I think they're probably sitting on it, right?
Yeah.
So this reminded me of that Adam Hughes cover of the that Supergirl cover he did, Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
That's completely unaffordable to everyone in the world, but I love how she did the stars. The way she does backgrounds in this book just blows me away. Even the very first page, like the care that she puts into this and the colors and stuff, it feels so real.
And
it's just ridiculous.
And also the consistency.
Like, look, there's a freaking dragon up there. Yeah.
Natalie, what's your favorite art?
It was like the beginning with when they were talking to Soul. You just notice that it's darker. Like every panel that has Soul is like without light, and since he's a fallen, you just kind of see this darkness around him. So you just see like these dark panels where there's no light, and like John said, like all of a sudden you'll see light, and then back to like darkness. So it just puts you like in the mood around where they are or where they're at that moment. You kind of have that mood set in to what's happening. Like right here where you see her. I don't know if she kind of does she teleport out or something.
It seems it's exactly what she does. She like swings her sword and then she's gone. and
Yeah,
that's,
and that you just see like a flash of light, so you can just imagine that like happening, you know.
yeah, that's amazing. That's probably my second one. My top artwork though is the page right before that. Um, these two panels right here, where this is Angela or Ashley's kind of thinking out loud, saying, "What other question is there?" This is right after she'd asked him, why or how did you, no, why did you make that? Now I'm confused. Why or how? How you may die? How? And then this idea of like his head is down, you can just see the collar, which I think is very interesting because to me that's saying that like he somehow is captured or imprisoned, and that's why he can't give this answer, right? So um like I think it's interesting that the collar's sticking out there, and then this is just pure the evil face of Soul here. But the answer is almost sad. I mean, it almost gives you some sort of sympathy for him, right? And he just says any question except that one. And I don't think he's saying it like nanny nanny nanny. I'm not gonna answer. I think he's like, there's a reason he can't answer that question. Oh,
And I think it's there's clearly the character talking, but it's also the writer talking in that moment, which is freaking awesome. Like I just love that you can tell that over the months of this book being around, that they got asked this question a bunch. How did a little kid make this game? How did a little kid make this happen? And I think it's awesome that they tease us with the fact that that's important to know. We're not going to tell you right now. That would ruin.
We know you want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
cool. And John, what was your favorite art in this?
I struggled to find the one, and I loved seeing the fair and how cool they looked. Obviously, this is a heartbreaking page, though. Like with the dog holding the dog, and then this one down, this panel at the bottom, right?
So good.
It's sort of the twin to the one that Adam showed earlier, which was perfectly at the top of a page. With the sort of night sky and the two of them together, right? It goes part and parcel with, well, now we're at the bottom of a page and we don't have dog anymore. It's all done.
The whole design of that page you picked, John, is so great.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's no bad answer to this question. You could flip to random pages and just be like, again, the ones I was talking about earlier where I love that this page is all cold colors for the most part. And then this crazy red splash panel in the center of it is just like, that is
or
wild.
her hair, how it just looks gold.
Yes.
In the dark.
Well, and then the way their hair, even this little panel here, the way their hair is moving, it's like flying in the wind with their cloaks and everything. It's just too freaking cool.
Yeah, to me, it's fascinating because I would definitely say at this point that Stephanie Hans has a recognizable style. Like I can tell a Hans cover almost immediately because I've been studying them so much. Very similar to Phil Noto. I often will come across a Phil Noto cover and be like, "Oh, it's a Phil Noto." But within, and she loves red, and she does the red and she even says, "I'm doing red. I don't care." But within the confines of what we consider her style, there's still so much incredible flexibility, right? I mean, just this one page that you were pointing out has so many different colors, right? You got the dragon, over here, the dragon flying away, this kind of dragon landing smokiness, this bright red. You've got the dragon against this bluish green background here. There's just so much that she can do and still keep thematically within her style that it just blows me away every time. I might have to just stop collecting covers and get every book she's ever written.
And I mentioned on a couple of shows this week, I am not somebody that buys multiple covers or even multiple copies of a book. Like I just don't. I've never been that collector. I would rather buy another book and get more reading. Like it's just me as the selfish reader. This is the first time I called my LCS when 6 was coming out, and I said, you know what? Just put both covers on my playlist forever. Like, let's just do it. Let's just be done with it. And so Die is officially the first comic for me where I'm like, I just want both. I just want they're always. I could not pick this time, and I looked ahead at what issue 7 was going to be, and it was like, this is a stupid fight. Let's just be done with it. They're both amazing.
They are.
So I'm just looking something up here. I'm going to try the share screen thing in a minute.
Which means I get to be all by myself right now. What?
That you? Okay, so let's just see. Die number 6.
Hey, hey, Bear Island, your contest winning is now continuing further because Biggie Shack won an amazing slab from you, had never read the comic, and now we are inviting Biggie Shack on the AOK Book Club. Perry and I gifted Biggie the trade for Die.
I heard you mention that. I'm very proud to be a part of that.
And then we gifted him the trade for Die, and now in like a week, Perry and I are going to sit down and read and discuss the first 5 issues with Biggie Shack, who has just been able to read it for the first time. So he's been gifted his entire Die library.
That's so cool. I'm glad he doesn't have to crack open the slab and read.
Oh, of course, yeah. We definitely didn't want him to do that. Really, it was a selfish decision because I wanted him to appreciate that gift because he was unsure in your giveaway. Like, do I get this one? Which one should I get, everybody? And I was like, dude, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, everyone's screaming at him, take the Die.
Right? And he was like, I've never read it. Is this any good? And I was like, yes, buy this book. I'll prove it to you. I'll pay and send you this trade. You need to read it.
That's me with everybody. I'm
Speaking of the trade,
I will give you the trade.
It just came in the mail yesterday. I know Ian already has.
Oh, that's the gold one, right?
The fancy. Yeah, I had to go overseas to get this one. Not go there, but
I tell you,
get it from a company overseas.
The customer service from those overseas shops was amazing. They kept they kept emailing me about stuff. One guy was like, well, we can ship it to you now or wait and get it signed for you because they're doing an in-store signing next week. I'm like, wait, can't get it signed.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's so cool.
I ended up going with the San Diego Comic-Con.
That's the only one I don't have.
Variant one. Well,
same exact cover with just a little on the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll
save it and then eventually I'll make you pay a whole lot for it.
There you go. So I'm gonna go share my screen now. I've never done this in StreamYard. This is the first time I've ever done StreamYard. Share, are people seeing that? Your entire screen, share, and then I'm going to skip over here.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's cool because all 4 of us go on one side and then it's in the center.
Oh, nice. So according to Rad Raptor Comics, they still have in stock the Virgin variant of Die number 6. So if you want the Virgin variant of this comic, it's $9.99. They're limited to 500. So this is a comic that has already sold out and is going to second printing. This Virgin variant is a store exclusive from Rad Raptor, limited to 500. It is still available. So anybody in the chat that is interested in getting a copy of this, it's absolutely available there for you. You can just head over to Rad Raptor Comics.
Yeah, whoa.
I was trying to get this. Okay, never mind. I kept having 1 and 3. I was trying to get this 4 for a while. I don't know what I pushed to get it. But here's what I'd like to say to my guests in this stream. You are all getting a copy from me for free as a thanks for being here on the show. So make sure you jump on just make sure you jump on that email and send me your address again, because I'd look really stupid trying to talk about this on my own because I have made a lot of mistakes and don't know it. And I think this is made better by having you guys all here. So yeah, definitely.
And you get a die, and you get a die, and you get a die.
Right.
Wow.
You get a die, and nope, sorry. And it's actually
It's backwards. It's so weird because I think I'm going to go this way, but it's going that way. Yeah.
I'm going to keep
the only one I got for sure is Natalie. She's right here.
Right. I'm going to keep the one that says 100, but one of you will get number 97, one of you will get 98, and one of you will get 99.
Hey, Ian.
No problem.
Wow.
I actually have 3 of those on the way.
Oh.
Can we pick someone like in the chat or something to?
Yeah.
Ooh, a trivia question. We should do a trivia question.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you just sent me an AOK also, so I feel weird getting another one from you.
I know. I should have planned it better. I'm not very good at planning. I'm good at giving stuff away. I'm not good at planning stuff. Who's got a good trivia question then? We should make.
I'll type it into the private chat and see if you agree.
Okay. Oh, we should still talk about the ending of the comic. Thank you, Natalie, for this is why I said you guys are so great, because I can never.
Ooh, that's a good one, John.
Is it
You
that
want to
hard?
do it?
I think somebody would have to
Oh,
either
like the-
do it already or need to have the book and then check it to do this.
Now, maybe I'm just such a fan of his, but I'll try to go a little bit more in depth. But first, we forgot to go ahead and
Shout out some people.
besides shouting out people, we forgot to talk about the ending of the comic. We got so wrapped up with it. There's a huge,
Good, because I'm confused.
massive reveal in the ending of the comic. I was hoping you would set me straight, not say you were confused. But
That's not my role. That's John or Nat.
all right, so
What? What are you confused about?
at the end of
I got you right here.
Die number 6, they are going to try to reach Angria, which I guess is our Hobbit town, right?
Which is what I usually call me during the school year.
Oh, Angria.
Angry.
And they are hopefully going to get them on their side in the battle to come, because they know that Chuck and Isabel are probably trying to do the same thing. And they're like, then we just sit and wait for the welcoming party and hope for the best. Because they make this funny comment like, when you land with a Prussian dragon, people think you're about to attack them. So we have
So they're probably going to come try and kill us.
Right. So we're just going to chill. And then we get this big reveal. Everybody hold it up. Last page for. And a guy appears in the horse. He's like, "Hey, Mom." It's like, what?
I wasn't sure that was a guy.
Oh,
Are we
Oh,
sure?
I
yeah,
actually
don't know.
I thought it was a girl. Yeah.
I thought it was a girl.
In
Okay.
Die, you never
three
know.
say it's a girl. One says not.
She
But yeah,
looked like what's her face from Game of Thrones.
Brienne.
Brienne.
Yes.
Darth, maybe.
Yes.
That's why I'm here.
I would argue that the comic does love androgyny a little bit, and so there's definitely room
Yes.
for that as a possibility.
Yeah.
So I like that there's a little ambiguousness about that, ambiguity, I should say.
Right. And then the last bit of Ash's thoughts are kind of like they bring you back to remembering the theme of this comic, and that simply is we cannot escape, or we can escape anything except our past, right? And clearly her past is coming. And Stay Puff is in the chat, and I've got to tell you all that Stay Puff entertains me Saturday mornings by going back to when he was a kid and I was a kid, and putting 80s R&B and hip hop videos on Instagram. And it's like I wake up and go and check out like a video I remember from MTV Raps or something like that way back in the day.
If you're not following Stay Puff on Instagram, you are doing it way wrong.
Yeah, dude, seriously.
All right, so I'm going to actually throw out, and chat, get ready, refresh. First person to
Ooh, and let me just say, as somebody that basically does all the moderating for Reggie Collects when he does his trivia nights, please set your chat to top chat, not live chat. Oh, we want live chat, not top chat.
Yeah.
Live chat. Live chat is the one where it shows everything. For some reason, YouTube has 2 options for this, and the one that they auto default to is the one that doesn't show you all the messages. So sometimes you think you're seeing everything and you think you are the first one to answer, but in actuality, you're just seeing just a little. I got a lot of angry people sending me messages on Instagram at Reggie's last trivia night, because I was like trying to referee the whole thing, and they're sending me screenshots. Look, I was first. Look, I was first. And they all say top chat, like all of them.
Absolutely. Okay, so you guys have been warned. Somebody name dropped KRS-One, so I just had to name drop my knowledge about KRS-One. Published work of Stephanie Hans was a 2-volume hardcover book in France. What was the name of that book?
Oh,
Okay, Google got
I
it.
would not get this one correct.
I don't even know that.
I showed it off on Instagram. It is not Heyo, although that is going to be the comment that
Hi, Alec.
Right.
Alec arrived just in time to not give the answer to the trivia question. But shout out to Alec. He did another great episode in his series Comic Books as Therapy. And this has been a great series. They did the entire run of Mr. Miracle. This is I Got Issues and White Whale Comics together. It is phenomenal. And they just did one tonight. You should totally tune in and
Was
watch.
today on Mr. Miracle or something else?
No, today they were just talking about comics literally as a therapy and how people need to make sure that if they need therapy, they should seek out help, and that comic books can just be a fun release and not necessarily give you what you need if you need help.
Sounds good.
It was good to see I Got Issues.
Right?
We don't see enough of him. He's a great member of the community. Love seeing him pop up here and there.
Absolutely.
All right, still waiting for somebody in the chat to throw down.
Everybody's on like Google.
I know.
Is Google down or something?
What was the
What's going
question
on?
again?
So Stephanie Hans's first published work, before she ever worked for Marvel or DC or anything, she put out her own self-published comic. It was a 2-volume hardcover in France. It's got a French name.
Oop, Perry Comics.
We are going to give it to you, even though you spelled it wrong. Galathea is the correct answer. So Perry, I'll throw my email in here, and you can go ahead and send me your address.
He's on Instagram. He can drop you an Instagram note.
You can DM me on Instagram, Tacoma Comics there.
He's everywhere.
Well,
lurking. Hashtag lurking.
He's always lurking.
One to John, one to Natalie. I can't get that angle right. Is Natalie, and none to you. Yours goes to Perry.
X gets the square.
There we go. All right. Good job, Perry. Galathea is beautiful. It's and the way I found it, like I could not find it. I typed in my browser amazon.co.uk, and then I searched for it, and I found a bunch of options. When I went to amazon.com, I couldn't find Galathea. So if you are interested in really becoming a Hans fanatic like myself and Adam and Poor Man's Comics, maybe definitely go for amazon.co.uk, and you can find a few more options that you might not. Interestingly enough, we can talk about this another time. In France, apparently, comics are done differently. Like they're much more widely accepted as literature, but there are comics for kids, comics for teenagers, comics for adults, and I don't mean like pornography. I mean like they are just, these are the adult comics, the way they're written, the themes, the storytelling, and like there's no crossover. Like my son's 12, and I'm probably going to start him in and die soon because he's a massive Dungeons and Dragons fan. In France, they don't cross over like that. Like there's no law, but they just don't do that. And that's one of the reasons Stephanie Hans said she wanted to work in the American market, because she doesn't agree with that and doesn't like that. So food for thought. All right, guys, wrapping thoughts on die number 6. Let's start with Natalie, and we'll go around, put you on the spot. Hope you don't mind. Parting thoughts.
It was a really good issue. I really liked it. It wasn't slow or boring or anything. It was really good. I rated it at 9 out of 10. For me, it was just a really good jump back in the story.
All right, very nice. And Adam, what are your thoughts here?
The quality of this book reflects my frustration with other books. They took their time. They did it right. They maintained the level of quality that had been established. And there are so many things in life where you can't apply that to. And I feel myself more and more pulled towards indie books because they take these breaks and they take the time to do it right. I know that's something Perry Comics has been talking about a lot in his shows, and how he's feeling more of a pull towards these independent books. And I have to agree. Like, this is an example of why a lot of people are so frustrated with most of the books that are on the shelf right now. And I'm so thankful that this exists.
Cool. John, what are your thoughts?
For me, I had a lot of trepidation that like they clearly had a first story arc, this first 5 issues in the trade. And you worry that, like, can they live up to something that's that good, that you care that much about? I mean, I've probably talked more about Die as a comic on YouTube than anything, right? I mean, between Tacoma and the new Comic Book Day Book Club and now the AOK Book Club, I spent a lot of time talking about those first 5 issues. And I was genuinely concerned, like, could they maintain a level of quality? And that was not a problem after reading this. So that's as high a praise as I could possibly give it.
Okay. I would just echo those thoughts that everybody had because, yeah, it really is an awesome book. Uh, and so I'll use an example. One of my favorite books was Miss Marvel, and towards the end of the second run, the art it was when Marvel started like just substituting artists in, like rotating them through books. The art just got really weak. In one panel, I remember specifically where Kamala Khan pulled back her right hand, and in the next panel, she's punching with her left arm. And I was like, oh my God, somebody, catch that. And so they really do take care. It reminds me or puts me in mind of Saga, that's taking a year break. And that's a comic that everybody loved and still maintains that it's one of the greatest books, but it didn't get a lot of praise past like issue 30 just because I think people had come to expect a level of consistency with the awesomeness of it. Very few comics can go that long and do that. And with Marvel and DC, I have not read Powers of X #2 or whatever came out today, and everybody's saying is awesome. I hadn't ordered it, and I know I'll get around to it eventually. And I'm not trying to knock it or not Hickman at all, but the concept in that is like without the hype, without a packet of seeds last Wednesday, how many people would be jumping on that, and I got the seeds. I think that's an awesome promo. But I mean, literally every comic book writer I follow on Twitter is like, I read Hickman's Powers of X #2. I got it early and you're going to be blown away. It's just this take this incredible hype machine to get us to read some of these books. What if Marvel put that into like Moon Girl or one of their, smaller books? I think that would be pretty awesome. But yeah, back to Die. I love Die. I love discussing Die, and I especially love discussing Die with you guys. So I want to thank John's Comics with Kids, Natalie DComicQueen, and Adam from Bear Island Comics. We will be here, ladies and gentlemen, in about a month from now, doing this again with Die #7. Everybody that wants, not everybody at once, everybody that's receiving a copy of the Virgin variant from me, please go ahead and don't just email me thanks, but email me your address, John, because I know I have it from a long time ago, but I'm going to need that again. And Natalie and Perry, and I will get that out to you guys as soon as I can. So thank you very much, and we will see you 1 month from now with another dissection.